the Union tonight, Angelica, are stressed trying to figure it out. How on earth are they going to find a child care opening? And how will they ever be able to afford it if they can get off that wait list? And when they can't find affordable child care, as is all too often the case, parents and moms in particular are being forced to leave their jobs and stay out of the workforce. In fact, a new study found 1 in 4 parents reported being forced to leave their job because of trouble getting the child care that they need. Think about that. 1 in 4 parents are leaving their jobs because of this. If that's not a crisis, I don't know what is. We have to do better. You might notice that my colleagues and I are wearing these pins today, crayons on our suits and jackets. These are crayons for kids. I hope it helps to get everyone's attention to talking about childcare because this is serious. Last year, the childcare crisis cost our nation $122 billion in lost wages, productivity, and tax revenue. $122 billion. That is a shocking number, and it is double what this crisis cost us just 4 years ago. Now, Democrats in Congress worked with President Biden and took decisive action to save the child care sector from collapse when COVID hit our country hard. We made the largest one-time investment in child care ever, which helped over 200,000 providers to keep their doors open and served up to 9.5 million kids. And at the end of last year, we worked hard and secured a 30% boost to federal child care funding, which will help serve about 130,000 more kids. That matters, and it's meaningful. And that happened because Democrats and our president took action for child care. But this is still a critical sector that is hanging on a thread. Child care has got to remain on the agenda this Congress. We need bold reforms and serious investments to help parents find and afford the child care they need and make sure providers are paid a living wage as well. Now, I've been talking about child care since I first got into politics. It's literally why I got into politics. You are looking at a former preschool teacher and someone, a male lawmaker, once referred to as just a mom in tennis shoes when I tried to stand up for my kids' parent at a pre-K program. Well, today, I'm also the Senate Appropriations Chair, and I will not stop fighting for child care anytime soon. I'm going to work every avenue possible and available and work with every willing partner here in Congress to address this crisis. And I'm going to keep fighting for more resources to tackle this crisis and build on the progress we've made. And I'm going to be reintroducing my Child Care for Working Families Act because families are counting on bold change to fix this crisis. Now, back when I got my start in politics, I was practically the only mom in the room. So we have come a long way. And I'm going to keep bringing more parents into the room and making their voices heard. And tonight is no exception. I am so thrilled to have Angelica as my guest at the State of the Union. She is a mom from Washington State who knows firsthand how bad this crisis has gotten, how it is making life so much harder for parents, and how much a difference we can make in people's lives by finally ensuring that they have quality, affordable child care options. So let me turn it over to Angelica right now.
Hello, my name is Angelica Maria Gonzalez. Thank you, Senator, for the opportunity to speak today. I am a Moms Rising member, an attorney, and a mother of 5 amazing children. Like so many other parents in this country, I have struggled to find safe, affordable, reliable childcare. 17 years of going through childcare experiences, and I can honestly say, I have not seen much change. I know all too well this struggle. I have waited on wait lists for years. When I have needed childcare to put a roof over my children's head and food on the table, I have not been able to afford it nor find it. I have gotten amazing positions that could have changed the position of our family, and I've had to turn down those positions because I could not get childcare. I have been in the position of looking for childcare and not being able to find it within a 60-mile radius. I have picked up extra jobs to be able to afford childcare so that I could keep my main job. I have lost me and my family so much because of the childcare crisis that we are going through. So I thought, maybe if I go to law school, not only will I be able to help others by becoming an attorney, but perhaps there wouldn't be such a childcare struggle. More money perhaps fixes the issue. However, after becoming an attorney and getting my dream job, I found out, like so many people in America know today, that the struggle is very real. And it's not just a low-income family's issue, but it's a working family's issue. I found that the struggle is very real and still a struggle to this day. Suffering through the childcare crisis that we are going through, that is honestly generations and generations of families have gone through this, and it's not a suffering is not a solution. The thing I want to lead with today, and I really want to make a point, is that we need change and we need it now. We need our government to be responsive to our working families in America and what the majority of Americans really need. We need a fix to our childcare system, and we need a fix now, not tomorrow, but now. And we can make this change if we make it a priority and we work towards a solution. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Bernie, who is going to be the new chair of the Help Committee and my partner in the Senate.
Well, let me thank Senator Murray not only for her years of advocacy for child care, but for the great work she has done as chair of the Help Committee. Patty raises the issue, is child care going to be on the agenda? Patty, child care will be on the agenda if I have anything to say about it. I just want to say a few words on the issue. We pride ourselves as a nation in loving our kids, in understanding that the children are the future of America. And yet in this country today, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth, and we have a dysfunctional and broken child care system. Psychologists tell us that the years of 0 through 4 are the most important years of a human being's life in terms of intellectual and emotional development. What common sense would tell us is that we would cherish those 4 years for the kids, make sure that they have the best early childhood care that they possibly can. And yet today in America, we have a child care system in Vermont, not different around the rest of the country, where it costs about $15,000 a year to put your kid in child care. DC, probably double that. What working class family making $60,000, $70,000 a year can afford $15,000 a year? Second of all, we don't have enough slots in this country for the children. Parents have to line up the day they learn they're pregnant in order to find a spot, and in many cases, they still can't. So you have all kinds of talented people who want to join the workforce, mostly women, who cannot do that because there are no child care slots available for their kids. And as Patty said, that is costing our economy tens and tens of billions of dollars a year. And the third point, not to be neglected, is that maybe the most important work that can be done in our society is nourishing and cherishing and taking care of the little kids. And yet, all over this country, child care workers are earning less than workers in McDonald's. They're earning starvation wages, and often they get minimal benefits. The day has got to come, and I look forward to working with Patty and Elizabeth and others to make sure that those people who go to child care, into child care, are respected and honored and appreciated for the enormously important work they do. So we've got a lot of work in front of us. But whether you care about the kids, whether you care about the economy, whatever you care about, this is an issue of enormous impact, and together we are going to address it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Sanders, Senator Murray, Alejandra, and I am so proud to stand here today with leaders who understand that childcare is infrastructure. Just like our roads and bridges, just like our airports and railroads, childcare is essential to a healthy, inclusive economy. It not only allows our kids, like my new friend Mason back there, and families to thrive, but it allows our nation to prosper. So on behalf of the House Democrats, I want to thank all the advocates who are here today. Thank you for putting your passion, your talent, your energy into this fight, for never losing sight of what's at stake and never letting up. And fighting alongside you, Democrats have won major victories for American families. Amid the darkest days of the pandemic, we secured a vital lifeline for our nation's child care system. $50 billion in relief. And what did that translate into? 200,000 providers keeping their doors open. More than 1 million care workers keeping their jobs and serving 10 million of our nation's children. We understood and we understand today there is no economic recovery without childcare. And that's why we've doubled down on our commitment in this year's federal budget to deliver a historic $20 billion in investment to strengthen childcare and early education. It will keep providers afloat, opening the door for more families, and bring urgently needed resources to Head Start, including a sorely needed pay raise for early educators. We can no longer tolerate in this country that providers who are caring and educating our children are making a wage that does not allow them to care for their own. That is going to end in this country. And it's just one way that President Biden and Democrats are putting American families front and center in Washington. Not the wealthy and well-connected, not special interests. This is people over politics. And we've taken some important steps, but let's be clear, we have a lot more work to do. Across the country, Americans are forced to choose between paying for childcare and saving for a future, between pursuing a job and caring for their children. Just last month, the Labor Department found the average cost of childcare can be as high as 20% of a family's income. 20%. And who's hurt most by this impossibly high care? Women, moms. The women who serve as our early educators, the women trying to return and stay in jobs while caring for their kids. And my district at home in Massachusetts has the unfortunate distinction of having the third highest child care costs in the nation. I talk to moms and dads and business owners and grandparents about this challenge every day. It is challenging everyone, everywhere. And raising a family is always a balancing act. Every parent understands that. But Democrats are proud to be in this fight because affordable, accessible care is key to an economy that works for working families. So I'm grateful to all of you for your partnership and commitment, and I am thrilled to introduce a leader who has been advancing this cause every step of the way. A proud voice for women and families, our ranking member on Appropriations Committee, my friend, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro.
A couple of my fellow co-conspirators on the Appropriations Committee, and Congresswoman Clark, Congresswoman Frankel as well. I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much for the invitation to join here with you and everyone else today. And the highlight of what we're doing today is fighting to deliver quality, affordable child care. You heard from Senator Sanders and from my colleague, Representative Clark. Proud to have with us Congresswoman Lois Frankel. I see Sarah Jacobs here as well, Ayanna Presley, Jimmy Gomez, and Matt Melman, a shout out to you as well for your great work. So, and to all of the advocates here today, look at those great signs behind us, champions. Really thank you so much for being here and for what you do. Angelica, thank you. Moms Rising, thanks for the great work, and so proud of what you did, but you pursued what you wanted to do, and still you couldn't get the help that you needed to move forward. But thank you for your courage. I especially want to say a thank you to my guest for the State of the Union. That's Alex Schiavone. Alex, raise your hand there. She is the director of the Friends Center for Children in New Haven, Connecticut. Spent her career elevating the voices of children, fighting on behalf of children to transform what is a broken system before it is too late. 30 years experience in early childhood development, elementary education, a teacher and an administrator in Connecticut and in New York. I'm grateful that she agreed to be my guest this evening, and you'll hear about her experience shortly. You are all outstanding partners in this fight. So encouraged that so many of you are wearing the crayon pins. I should have gotten the purple one, Patty. I mean, but it's okay. Okay. It's representing the show of support for the need for making critical federal investments. We can do it. We can make critical federal investments in child care. Tackling the crisis is a serious and it's an urgent economic priority. Long overdue that Congress act on this. We can get it done. We can give our parents, providers, and small businesses the support they need. I have long believed that our current system is broken. We need to build an infrastructure that respects and values women and all hard-working families in the workforce. Yes, and dads too. Thank you for your sign there. This means building a system that works for families by providing a universal paid family and medical leave program, affordable child care for all, and yes, a permanent and expanded and improved child tax credit. Universal paid leave, guaranteed access to child care have been at the center of our fight for working families. That's been for me throughout my career. There has never been a more important time to demand it. Far too many families struggle today. It is no soundbite that families are going paycheck to paycheck, particularly when it comes to finding affordable child care. Child care providers are struggling to make ends meet. They need workers. They need a fair, and the workers need a fair and livable wage. We can't get people into the child care system because they're not paid enough. Why would they do this if we're not paying them a decent wage? It's a crisis for parents, for families, and providers across this country. In the last Congress, those of us on the appropriations, on the committee, and our Senate partners as well, we delivered the largest one-time federal investment in child care as part of the American Rescue Plan. It saved the sector from collapsing during the pandemic. We secured an $8 billion increase, a 30% increase in federal child care funding in the bipartisan spending package that we passed at the end of the year. This will help reach about 130,000 more kids through the Child Care and Development Block Grant. While it's a step in the right direction, we have a long way to go. You have my word that I will continue to work to provide relief for hardworking families and those who deserve this. We need to keep fighting for bold reforms, and that includes passing Senator Murray's Child Care for Working Families Act. We need to do that. We need your help to do it. Thank you. So delighted to be here with you today. Advocates, activists, you know, all of us know here that the Congress is an institution that responds to external pressure. Do we not know that in this group? So you got to continue to speak out. You got to make your voices heard. And do not take no for an answer. We will be heard, so we're going to continue to fight like hell, my friends, okay? And with that, please really join me in welcoming my guest of honor for tonight's State of the Union to say a few words, and that's Alex Schiavone. Alex.
I'm happy to speak out. So I want to thank Rosa DeLauro, my congresswoman. I wore purple for you. Thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to elevate the voices of childcare. Parents, providers, and teachers and children have been ignored for decades and decades. Champions like you and Senator Murray are really changing this, and we are grateful. As a former teacher, as a parent, and now as the director of an Ideal Learning early childhood education program called the Friends Center for Children, I measure the world in children. It's just a natural byproduct of my 32 years of service to children, families, and early childhood educators. Things like time are framed in reference to my own children, like most parents. Life is broken into segments, such as before my son Penn was born, or when my daughter Josie was in preschool. And for me, things such as morality and the evaluation, of our society are measured through the ways we treat our youngest members. It is through this lens that I am here to demand action. The nation's economy rests on the shoulders of early care and education teachers, and the system that they're in is on the brink of collapse. Parents pay too much, educators make too little, providers can barely survive, and kids cannot thrive. We must transform this broken system before it's too late. Parents pay too much. As a provider, I know that parents are desperate to find affordable, reliable care for their children. Parents want what's best for their children, and instead of creating a system where that allows this to happen, we've actually devised one that guarantees failure. It is not feasible for the average family to find childcare, since 51% of our nation lives in a childcare desert. And when parents do find it, it's completely unaffordable. It costs the average family with 2 children under 5 just under $30,000 per year. This lack of access and affordability has a direct impact on our economy. In a recent survey, the U.S. Census Bureau said more than 365 adults reported losing a job because they needed to take time off to care for their children. And 1.3 million more adults said they had to leave a household to care for a child. When parents can't find childcare, they can't work. It's really simple. When they can't work, families and businesses suffer. Building a better childcare system is the best opportunity to unlock the power of our nation's economy, and we don't do it. Educators make too little. Early childhood educators deserve better. They're brain builders. They give of themselves each and every day, caring for our nation's children. They see the light inside children and know how to foster brain development. But right now, with the average preschool salary at $24,000, we're paying early childhood educators poverty-level wages. These teachers are shaping our current and future human beings, and instead of honoring them, we shame them by paying them poverty-level wages in 40 states. Our kids can't thrive when their teachers are stressed out and struggling to make ends meet. As a result, early childhood educators are leaving the field in droves. They're going to better paying jobs, and they're not coming back. Lawmakers need to listen and give the system the support it needs before it collapses. Providers can't survive. Without investment into the child care system, providers like me cannot continue to operate. The simple premise of a free market economy in this system does not work. It doesn't work because the true cost of providing high quality care far exceeds what families can afford. Providers like me are left in an impossible situation. They either charge families more or pay educators less, neither of which is acceptable. President Biden has made childcare a focus during his administration. Last Congress, the American Rescue Plan kept our industry from imploding, but we need more. Childcare has to be on the agenda again this Congress. We need bold reforms like the ones in Senator Murray and Representative Scott's Childcare for Working Families Act. If Congress doesn't act, the consequences are a matter of simple economics. Low wages and poor benefits will push more childcare workers out of the industry. Classrooms will close. Parents will be forced to stay home to care for their kids. Businesses will struggle to find workers, and our economy will enter into a recession overnight. All we need to do is invest in childcare, and we don't. Even though Nobel Prize winner in economics, Dr. James Heckman, has proven that every dollar invested in high-quality early care and education nets a 13% return for our economy. So it can't be about money. It has to be about something else, because investing in early care and education has an extremely high rate of return. So what's it about? Why? Why do we continue to ignore the societal and individual benefits of early childhood education? Everything that we say we want as a nation is related to childcare. Want a better economy? Invest in childcare. Want better tax incentives? Invest in childcare. Want more emotional regulation? Invest in childcare. Care about infrastructure? Invest in childcare. Care about children and families? Invest in childcare. Care about the social good? Invest in childcare. We've ignored these opportunities for too long. It's time. It's time to make a smart, substantial public investment in childcare that will secure a better future for all of us. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Representative Gomez.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. First, let me just thank everyone that's here. I'm Congressman Jimmy Gomez, and as some people like to call me, Hodge's dad. And a few weeks ago, I brought my son Hodge to the House floor during the speaker vote, and my wife and I weren't planning on having him here so long, but we had a simple dilemma that most new parents have to face, which is, my wife has to go back to work, and somebody has to take care of the baby because our child care wasn't available for that day. So it fell on me. Why? Because I was very clear. I had a little bit more flexibility in my job, and I could bring him to work with me when I wanted to. It was that simple decision. It wasn't to make a statement. It's something that was done out of necessity. And that's what we see when it comes to parents every single day. And I got a lot of praise for what women do every single day, right? Every single day they do that. And so I brought him to the floor because I had no other choice. But millions of families don't have that flexibility. Millions of families can't make that decision. And a lot of times we know that when that decision has to be made, who does that responsibility fall on? The mothers. And why? Because it's often the fact that mothers are automatically the default parent. And it's something that we have to change. And that's why a couple of weeks ago I founded the Dads Caucus on a simple idea. Dads need to do our part both at home, raising our children, and in Congress by advocating for family-friendly policies like affordable, high-quality childcare, paid family leave, and the enhanced child tax credit that lifted and cut child poverty by 40 to 60%, depending on the community you lived in. But if we want to see more equitable parenting, where mothers aren't seen as a default parent, this is where we start. Because here's the truth. Mothers and women are still, when they work full-time, are just paid 84 cents to every dollar compared to their male counterparts. The consequence of this pay gap follows women throughout their entire careers. As a result of lower lifetime earnings, they receive less in Social Security and pensions. And on top of that is the child care crisis. According to a survey in 2022, 45% of mothers who left work during the pandemic cited childcare as a major reason for their departure, compared to just 14% of fathers who said the same. So this is about equitable parenting, and it starts with paid family leave. You got to be able to take time off, but able to return to your job as soon when you need to at the same salary. and that you don't miss out on that wage growth, that job growth. And then one of the other fact is that oftentimes mothers have to either get fired or let go, or they have to leave because during the toddler years, childcare becomes too expensive. So we have a situation that is, first, women are making less, and in a household when parents are deciding who takes the time off because they can't afford it, it often falls on the mothers. So it's just an exacerbation of what we've seen, when it comes to the default parent, when it comes to the wage gap, when it comes to, trying to raise families. So this childcare, making it a priority, is about, fighting against the norms that say mothers must be the ones that take care of the kid if they get sick, or they have to take them to the doctor, or they just can't afford it. Right? If you want to you care about working families, childcare is something that we can do because it will lift so many people out of poverty. And then at the same time, we got to value the people that provide the care, which is often women, people of color, and immigrants, right? That's what it's about. So when we pay these individuals so little that they often struggle to make ends meet, that means we're also hurting their kids and their families. If we want to be a family that has family values, then we need to start valuing families. With that, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Representative Frankel.
All right. Hello. Lois Frankel here from South Florida. I'm chair of the Democratic Women Caucus. Senator Murray, thank you for bringing us together, and all my colleagues and the advocates. And I'll first start by saying I adopt all the wise words of everybody, so I'm just going to focus on a couple of things. And we're going to hear from President Biden tonight, and I know he's going to remind us that we know that our economy is recovering, our unemployment is low, we have rebuilt America, we are rebuilding, we're modernizing our roads, our internet. Now it's time to finish the job. I agree with him, and that means fixing our care economy. And I have been a working mother, a working grandmother, and I can just say for all our parents, our children come first, and our precious children, regardless of your ambitions in life, you want your children safe and secure and nurtured when you leave them to go to work. I want to focus really on a couple of things. And Representative Gomez, thank you for your wise words. First, thank you, caring dads. Number two, we find no fault with parents who want to stay home and do full care. But for many parents, that's not their first choice or their option. And the high cost of childcare not only is impacting families today, but has a very long-term impact on women, and two main reasons. Obviously, we've heard childcare is the burden of women. And listen, we love our children. It's not that we don't want the burden. Thank you, fathers, for wanting to share it. But the fact of the matter is, it does, for those women who want to work and want to advance a career, it obviously affects your long-term financial impact. And we heard, again, women dominate the child care industry and are earning poverty wages, so that this lack of public investment is perpetuating the gender gap and exacerbates economic security for women. So the bottom line is that we need to invest in infrastructure for women to reach their full potential, for our economy to grow, and for our children to be secure. And I yield back.
Representative Preston.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. It is great to be able to stand here shoulder to shoulder alongside my colleagues, educators, advocates. Unfortunately, it took a global pandemic for many to get the memo that early educators are essential. And so today we come together shoulder to shoulder to affirm that this is as much about our GDP as it is our families. That we come together to affirm that we value the labor of our educators and we value their lives too. Our babies matter. Our mamas matter. When COVID-19 hit our nation, it really did underscore the critical role that our educators play. Our nation saw the dual workload of parents doing their best to make ends meet, to keep their kids safe, and to negotiate care in a broken system. The nation saw we cannot, we should not unsee what was revealed. The care economy is essential work, often rendered invisible. It is necessary, critical, dignified, and must be valued. I know we're all here because we believe that another world is possible. A more just nation is possible. A nation where our early educators are paid their due and treated as the skilled, dedicated professionals that they are. A nation where our paid family leave is not a nice to have. Instead, it is a basic right codified in federal policy. True enough, our early educators are deserving of accolades and applause, but they are deserving of much more than that. They're deserving of policies that see them, that center them, and that support them and this dedicated workforce, not only in their labor, but most of all in their own lives. Another world is possible. A nation where our children are deeply loved and valued. A nation where we affirm that education is a public good and a fundamental right at the age of 2 and the age of 10. A nation where in the dawn and in the twilight of our lives, we can get the necessary medical care in home and community-based settings. We are a nation rich with creativity, with possibility and potential. We needn't give in to cynicism or unjust false choices. We can invest in our people and show the world that we care about our neighbors. I am so honored to join the call for a more just nation that takes care of its people. And I'm so honored to be here with my guest for the State of the Union, Jacqueline Sanchez, a dedicated educator who works at a Head Start program in the Massachusetts 7th. Jacqueline is a proud immigrant from Cape Verde. She is a classroom teacher. She is the proud mom of a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. Jacqueline and her colleagues should be front and center as we discuss how to rebuild and build better as we challenge ourselves to live up to our aspirations as a nation. I know that President Biden shares our deep commitment to our educators and parents across this country, and together we are going to build a more just nation, an America that works for everyone, that leaves no worker, no family, and no community behind. Today is an important day. And Jacqueline, I hope when you look down from the gallery tonight, you know that amongst that crowd, there are members of Congress from every walk of life that are inspired by you, grateful for you, and most importantly, working for you. And most of all, I hope you know that today you're making your babies, Emily and Jaden, so very proud. Okay. Where is she? Come on. Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline. I have been an early Head Start teacher at Dimick Center, Early Head Start and Head Start program for 9 years. Our program provides child care education and family support service in our community. As an educator, we are the children's first introduction to teaching and work with the young children doing their most important brain building year. Also, I'm a mom of 2, a girl and a boy. When my daughter was born 4 years ago, I had to go back to work 4 months and leave her behind. I need someone to take care of her so I can work. When my daughter was able to get the child care, when she was 6 months old, I had to work as a part-time. Because of her, I could not afford to pay full-time care for her. I applied for voucher and I had to wait 6 months in a waiting list to get. I had to pay the parent fee every week. Now that my son is 5 months old in the Head Start, he go in the Head Start, I'm work part-time again because I couldn't get full child care for him. There's no staff. Now my daughter is in the Boston Public School, and I see a great job her teacher is doing to prepare her for elementary school. But what she does is what we do too as a Head Start teacher. As a Head Start teacher, we are often seen as a babysitter, but not as a professional educator. We've been doing an amazing job as a Boston Public School teacher, and we don't get recognized or paid as well. Early Head Start and Head Start teacher make a significant impact on young children's life who will be take care of us in the future. They will become a police officer, a teacher, a nurse, a lawyer, a soldier, and our president one day.
That's right.
So that's why all the young children deserve the education we provide, and why it's so important that early educator will accomplish this work. And I'm very grateful for the Congresswoman Presley to support of a better pay of the children care and the Head Start teacher, and more affordable care for the parent. And I'm very honored to be here and share my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our speakers so far. You're going to hear from some amazing advocates. Before I turn it over to them, is there any quick questions from the press? Okay, if not, we have the next speaker is Michelle Kang from NIAC, and welcome up to the podium.
Thank you, Senator Murray, and all the members of Congress gathered here today. I'm looking forward to hearing about childcare in the President's State of the Union tonight, and your words give me great joy and faith in your commitment to ensure Congress takes the next steps on the bold, comprehensive action that is needed to address the childcare crisis that is challenging our nation and making it so difficult to be a parent and childcare provider today. What we know is that when our nation invests in childcare, good things happen. Child care relief funding saved the child care sector from collapse and provided programs with a necessary lifeline. The funding in the bipartisan end-of-year package will also be critical in helping states continue to make needed investments. However, devastation caused by the pandemic has laid bare the pre-existing fragility of our sector. And it is imperative for families of young children, the early childhood education workforce, and our country's economy that the President and Congress work together to prioritize additional sustainable investments that solve to the true scope of the challenges facing the child care and early learning sector. In October last year, NACI conducted a survey of the early childhood field where more than 12,000 early childhood educators from all states and settings, including faith-based programs, family child care homes, Head Starts, and child care centers responded. Findings from our survey corroborated what I hear personally when talking with NACI members, including educators like Mildred, who will speak in just a moment. Staffing shortages caused by low compensation are a huge problem, and they are leading to supply shortages that negatively impact families' ability to work, children's access to safe and quality care, and educators' health and well-being. Across America, we are seeing empty rooms, not because of lack of demand, but because child care programs have to turn parents away because they do not have the staff to provide care for children and families who need it. The impacts are even worse for families of color who have had trouble finding and affording care before the pandemic, and who, as both providers and parents, have been especially harmed by the twin economic and health crises of the last years. Let me be clear. Parents can't find or afford or pay for childcare because programs can't find or afford to pay early childhood educators. The supply crisis is a workforce crisis, and it is deepening the supply, quality, and affordability crises that we will witness for years to come unless we do something about it. And that is why we're counting on the President and Congress to work together on a bold, significant public investment that addresses access by lowering costs for families, addresses quality and supply by increasing compensation for educators, and supports all states and communities in continuing to build an early childhood education system that works for everyone. But you don't have to take my word for it. It's my pleasure to ask Mildred Waller to say a few words.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Michelle, members of Congress, and everyone here gathered today. My name is Mildred Waller, and I am a proud owner of Mrs. Mildred's Daycare, a family child care home business I've owned and operated since 2013. As a dedicated early childhood professional, I take great pride in supporting and preparing young children for the next steps in their lives. It is work that has allowed me to support many families in Northern Virginia, including military families who turn to me, a child care service, for their infant and toddlers care. However, as much as I love my work and the impact it has on young children and their families, I stand before you frustrated that I, alongside millions of other early childhood educators across this country, are continuously forced to undercut and undermine ourselves and our businesses in order to do the work that we love. As much as I want to keep my business open and serve families who need me, the truth is that I've been forced to go to extreme lengths, like maxing out personal credit cards, taking on personal loans in order to continue working in a profession that I love. And let's be clear, this takes away from my family as well. I also have 5 children of my own. I am doing all that I can do to stay afloat, and support from stabilized funds help, but those are ending. And the roadblocks I'm confronted with daily make it almost impossible to see how I will keep moving forward. At the same time, I see how families like Angelica's are desperately looking to access childcare, yet are struggling to afford the true cost of childcare. But they and I make sacrifices in order to work or go to school, roles I too have taken on as a current student at the Nova Virginia Community College, where I'm pursuing my degree in early childhood development, while working in C Campus program, which supports student parents and finding childcare that they can afford. So from all angles, both parents and providers are struggling, and we need Congress to be bold and take action and make the investments that can make child care systems work for all of us, including those in family child care homes who have disproportionately felt the impact of the pandemic, as many have had to close their businesses, leave the profession, or take on personal debts that they have. I am an educated professional and a small business owner and employer, providing child care that benefits young children, their families, and all of our communities. And I am looking forward to cheering when I hear child care in the State of the Union tonight. And then I look forward to seeing Congress act to recognize our work, make good on your promises, and invest in child care as it is a necessity. Thank you.
Mildred? Thank you for your powerful story. Thank you so very much. I'm Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and I am, one would say honored, but I'm strengthened to be able to stand with Senator Murray and all of the providers and all of the members who are again reminding us that a nation is judged by how they treat the youngest of our nation and how we treat the oldest of our nation. We have failed in the treatment of the youngest of our nation, and those families and committed and dedicated teachers who sacrifice. Christina Townsend, the cost of child care for her young son was $1,625 a month in Northern Virginia, about 50% of her take-home pay. Could you imagine how she could survive? A small family decided to move across the country to Denver, Colorado, which if they found more affordable, they could at least try to take care of that blessed child. We've found that lost wages has cost $122 billion in families having to stop work, dads and moms, to be able to provide care for their children. We remember the pandemic. We had never experienced it before. More women came out of the workforce in the history of the United States of America. Who are we if we cannot lift up and take care of our children? I'm going to speak of a bill of the ages, Build Back Better. When we wrote the law to develop a CARES economy that was going to provide for you, Mildred, pay compensation worthy of the work that you do and the work that you do to take care of these tender and wonderful babies, toddlers at the beginning of their life. I remember being on these grounds when we were fighting to keep chairs in Head Start program, if you could imagine. Many of you know that as we proceed on budgeting, as we proceed on funding the government, there have been threats to cut discretionary funding. As we stand here today with Moms Rising and so many different groups, I want us to make a commitment to ourselves, to the nation, to these moms and dads, and most of all to our most prized possession, our children, that we will not step back on a fight to ensure not only do we support funding to keep the doors open of Head Starts, to keep the doors open for providers like Mildred to be able to pay teachers, but we are also going to say, you're not going to cut our children's needs on our watch. It won't be on our watch. So I'm standing here with George Floyd's family. We have many issues to address, but I wanted to come here today to be able to join my providers, my families, the beautiful words of moms and fighters for our children. Remember, as I started, it is how a nation treats the youngest of their country and how they treat those in their senior years. We've got to step up and we've got to stand up and speak up about our babies. I'm going to do so, and I look forward to a victory as the president leans in to one of the most important responsibilities we have, is loving, protecting, and growing our children, supporting our families. That is what America is all about.
Hello, I'm Michelle McCready. I'm the interim CEO at Child Care Aware of America, and this is my 8-month-old Mason. He wants to say hi, it looks like. And Mason spends most of his days with an incredible child care provider. Child care educators are the folks making all other work possible. They nurture our children and ensure our economy can function. CCAOA works with partners in every part of the child care system. Our members are in all communities, working to ensure every family has access, right, to quality, affordable child care. But unfortunately, the system is facing long-standing issues. Our research shows the price of child care is just simply out of reach for families. At CCAOA, we hear from countless parents who have seen entire paychecks, right, eaten up by the high price of care. Many are caught in an affordability and a what? Accessibility catch-22. We heard from one of our parents in Texas, Joy, and she said, if I can't go to work, I can't pay for childcare. And if I can't pay for childcare, I can't go to work. This system is also not working for childcare providers. Because high quality childcare is labor intensive and resource heavy, as it should be, because we need relationships to help build the brain architecture of these little ones. There's so much development happening every minute and every second, right, Mason? And so the programs operate on thin margins, and childcare workers are paid exceptionally low wages. This is unsustainable for our families, our communities, and the economy. And thank you so much to Senator Murray for this incredible legislation and bringing attention to policies we all need to thrive. Child Care Aware of America urges Congress and the President to increase resources for childcare to better support economic stability, address inequality, and promote school readiness, right? Get ready for school. Good childcare policies are good for everyone, and Mason agrees we cannot wait. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Mason. And very importantly, thank you to all these incredible cold but warm-hearted advocates that are here today. Thank you, Senator Murray, for helping to bring light and shine on the issue of the nation's child care crisis. I am Matthew Melmed. I'm the Executive Director of 0 to 3. Many of you may know us as the Baby Organization because we're dedicated to making sure that all babies have a strong start in life. I'd like to start with the science, and Michelle referenced that. A baby's brain develops more rapidly during the first 3 years than at any other point in their life, making a strong start crucial. This early brain development lays the foundation for all future learning, for success in school and success in life, and much of it takes place in childcare settings. That is why it's absolutely critical that babies and families have access to high-quality childcare. Babies and families need it, and we as a nation need to make sure that they have it. Currently, too many families with young children lack access to high-quality care that feeds a baby's growing brain. The last few years have been hard. Beyond the pandemic, families with babies and toddlers have been hit by a triple-demic of COVID, RSV, flu. Ask anyone who cares for a baby. It's tough to catch a break. And many families who received relief from the child care tax credit had that support yanked away, further compromising their ability to pay for quality care. Making matters even worse are the huge numbers of early educators leaving the workforce. Many folks have referenced that. These amazing people care for and educate our babies and young children, and yet sadly aren't paid well or recognized for the crucial work that they do. They have had enough. They are leaving. We need to retain, better support, and grow this workforce. Jessica from Massachusetts put it bluntly. She said, "We are in a child care crisis. Mothers are walking away from the workforce because they simply can't afford it. People are paying second mortgages and being forced to choose between putting food on their table and putting their kids in childcare. We can't keep going on like this. It's all too much. Our nation's families are reeling and begging for support and solutions. The good news is that there are solvable problems. We just need the willpower to do it. Congressional action is needed to give our babies and our families the relief and care options that they so desperately need." 0 to 3 is proud to support Senator Murray, Senator Sanders, Congresswoman DeLauro, and all the members of Congress who are urging action on this most important issue for the nation's families and nation's future. We hope to hear the words childcare in the State of the Union tonight. Together, we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. I'm Julie Cashin. I'm the Director of Women's Economic Justice at the Century Foundation, and it's my honor to close us out today. Thank you so much to Senator Murray and Senator Sanders and all the members of Congress, advocates, parents, providers who are here today. You know, the state of our union is strong, but it's going to be a lot stronger when we build the child care and early learning systems that we so desperately need. Tonight, I'm looking forward to celebrating the victories of the past 2 years, the tens of thousands of child care providers and slots that were saved with the American Rescue Plan, the millions of jobs created from the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bill. But I also want to hear about the unfinished business. I want to hear the president acknowledge that child care policy is industrial policy, that our bridges only work if parents have affordable child care and can get to their jobs, that fixing our roads alone won't fix the fact that more than half of us are still living in childcare deserts. During the pandemic, we saw in the clearest way possible the consequences of not having a care infrastructure. And we're going to see it again as COVID relief funding for childcare expires and our nation's childcare providers are once again left to fend for themselves with poverty wages. As parents scramble, so too will employers. Jobs that could have been filled so easily will stay open. The economy will suffer. We've seen it before, but we are here to say no more. It's time for our leaders to put families first. It's time for our leaders to put children first. It's time to build the infrastructure that's going to allow women, and especially moms, to actually choose how we work and care. My former boss, the late Senator Ted Kennedy, would say, childcare is a women's issue, it's a family's issue, it's a labor issue, and it's an economic issue. And it is. Our economy is our people. One does not work without the other. The State of the Union is strong, but it could be so much stronger. It's time to build a childcare infrastructure that reflects the realities of our lives, of our work, and our families. And we look forward to hearing about that tonight and working with Senator Murray and everyone here to make it a reality. Thank you so much.